But there is a before and after.
Yes.
Yeah, that is, you have to declare, and when you leave their office, you also have to declare again. Do you think that, well, that has been followed over the years?
Whether it has been followed over the years? Well, the problem is, how will we know? They themselves alone know, because they don't even go to the extent of opening up the declarations to the public. So they themselves, only themselves know whether they pray and they post declarations, post tenure declaration of assets has been complied with. You see, that's the problem when you engage in unnecessary secrecy in the discharge of your public duties. You open yourself up to all kinds of criticisms. Well, if what has come out now is like bearing out the thinking of some Nigerians that the Code of Conduct Bureau and the Tribunal have not lived up to their expectations.
Mr. Egemba, I was going to ask you a question that has to do, if I may come in here, all the years that the Code of Conduct Bureau has been, with all the activities, would you say that it's been effective in any way?
No, I wouldn't say so at all. They have not been effective. Well, you see, you ask yourself, who actually appoints them? How are they appointed? They are appointed, well, by recommendation of the Judicial Council. They are appointed by Mr. President. So he who appoints probably exercises some measure of control. So it also has a lot to do with those who have occupied the highest offices in this land.
In other words, the declaration of assets before the Code of Conduct Bureau has not in any way helped to stem the tide of corruption?
It has not. If they have failed to, I mean, how many people have been successfully prosecuted in Nigeria? That's where you have to start. How many? In any case, if they do not tell Nigerians this is what we are doing, how will Nigerians know? So far, I want to agree that they have not been effective. To an extent, they have failed in their responsibilities. And to a greater extent, they are now bringing themselves out in a manner that, builds a whole lot of suspicion around what they're doing, particularly what they're doing with the Senate President presently, who was governor in 2003. And a breach he committed in 2003 is now being brought to the public glare.
But is it too late to prosecute a crime? Is there a time you say it's too late to prosecute a crime or an alleged crime?
It's not too late, but the thing, we are talking about laxity. We're talking about failure to do what you're supposed to do at the time, that is most expected of you to do it.
Then what happens to the saying, it's better late than never?
Well, sure. Well, I agree with you, but then also don't forget the asides of it. That okay, if you didn't do it in 2003, or if you noticed in 2003, why didn't you do something about it until how many years after? Don't forget about it. You are dealing with the members of the public who are intelligent and who are also entitled to give any understanding. Of course, if it's a private thing, then it's a different matter. You can conduct your private business the way it suits you most. But this is a public duty. You must discharge it in such a manner that the public will be able to speak about how you have done it, because you owe yourself answerable to them. But if you're a private man, who will bother you? You see, that is the point. You see, the time has come when public officers rise up to their responsibility. There is a lot of laxity in the system, because those that have been would I call it chief executives, up to now probably have not lived up to expectations. Either they're interfering with what they're doing. I don't want to go to that extent, or they do not even exercise the oversight kind of function that they are supposed to. Because if something is not being done by a body, under a particular government, even the chief executive of that government, it has a responsibility to call the body to order.
In your earlier submission, Mr. Egemba, in your earlier submission, you talked about the fact that the CCB hasn't made some of their findings public, but they usually publish them on their website. Do you have a problem with that, or would you rather they're published in the newspapers or on electronic media?
How many Nigerians go to website? It's for a class of people. We're talking about making it accessible to greater percentage of Nigerians, particularly those who are literate, who can read. How many people know how to even go to it? You must understand the level we are, the level of literacy in Nigeria, and the level of exposure to the present day technologies. It's still restricted to to some class of people who understand what website is all about and who know how to open to the website. But how many of them? So, but we're talking about several millions of Nigerians. You know our population. You know our adult population. We're talking about that number. You must accord them, you must afford them the opportunity to know, as a public officer, what declarations have been made by the body given the responsibility by the Constitution to receive the assets declaration, to verify the same, and take appropriate actions.
When you say take appropriate measures, what do you mean? If the public gets to know the assets that have been declared by a public servant, what measures would they have to take?
Well, then you can expect more people reacting. Like, you know, if you looked at some of the papers for the past few days, say as it concerns the Senate President, I'm sure you are getting a whole lot of reactions from people, because this has come to the public. More Nigerians now know, and they are reacting, either positively or negatively, against the measures that have been taken. So, but you see, when assuming it's it's only published in a website and it's not brought out, you don't expect any person who doesn't have access to the website or who doesn't know how to gain access to the website to respond to it. And you don't expect. You see, what is the alternative? The alternative is either they ignore the bureau and the tribunal, or all kinds of suspicion and speculations will take over. That can be avoided if these declarations are made public. I think you have nothing to lose anyway. The law is there to guide us. We must take it.
Well, Mr. Egemba, just a moment though. You have commended the president and his vice for declaring their assets publicly, but we're yet to see any more officers, public office holders, declare their assets publicly, aside Senator Shehu Sani in the Senate, who has done that, and we're yet to see any more persons do that. We would have thought that by now, perhaps the Speaker and the Senate President would have told the President's line, at least at that federal level. Are you a little worried that that hasn't happened?
Yes. Why shouldn't I be worried? You see, well, the President has set the pace. That should follow suit. That is my humble view. You know, but again, it depends on a whole lot of things. If you submit, for instance, to the Bureau, and the Bureau has not even done anything, they have not, because a number of them want to wait and see what the Bureau will say before they go public, and the Bureau is not doing anything as required by them under the law. So some of them may be treading on the side of caution, because you see, we must note that the law that governs declaration of assets is meant to be corrective. It's meant to build up confidence, in the moral standing of those who are holding this public office.